All right, so we are back. And yes, I got bullied into getting a haircut. And also, I'm preparing for Halloween, so boom. Speaking of scary, the heavyweights are back in the main event of a major boxing card. The week after Canelo apparently sold 650,000 pay-per-views. You want to talk about the king of boxing? Canelo is still that. But Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois are taking the main stage from Wembley. Riyadh season. This is a banger card, banger matchup, and I am here to predict who wins the IBF World Heavyweight Champion. Is it and still Daniel Dubois or and new for the third time over Anthony Joshua? The breakdown, let's go. All right, so Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois. Put simply, this is a major heavyweight matchup, not only for the UK, just in general. Right now, the heavyweights in Europe are dominating. Americans, we had Jared Anderson. He hit the canvas against Martin McCauley. Our hope for the next great American, it's going to have to be put off for a long time. But the heavyweight division is on fire right now, especially with Tyson Fury and Usyk having the rematch later this year. Joshua may be looking to throw a wrench into things. Dubois may be looking to throw a wrench into things. But this is why this is so fun in the heavyweight division. We have a little bit of parity. We have people we actually care about, matchups we actually want to see. This is why boxing's had a little bit of a resurgence in the last 3 to 4, 5 years. But as far as this matchup specifically, we are looking at two guys that are trying to, I wouldn't say rebuild, but reestablish themselves as, for AJ, one of the best in the world once again, and the top of the heavyweight division once again. And, you know, in those talks of the top of the heavyweight division once again. And for Daniel Dubois, who's only, 26, 27, trying to just establish himself as he belongs at the heavyweight top tier of the division, right? He belongs with the Anthony Joshua's, the Alexander Usyk's, even though, again, Usyk already beat him. We could talk about the low blow / not low blow all day long, but being in the same namesake of those guys, because Usyk's already beaten AJ twice as well, so he wants to get to that point where he is considered one of the top heavyweights. And obviously, when it comes to this matchup, I think of a couple things. One, the mindset of both fighters, because we know for both fighters that up here has sometimes been more of a problem than with these two, right? The physicality has really never been an issue for Daniel Dubois or for AJ. When they are in their best prime shape, they're in a fight where they can showcase that and they don't have any mental block or any sort of issues with confidence, they look like flat out destroyers. And for Daniel Dubois, there's two easy cases to make for this. The Alexander Usyk fight, where he does land the big knockdown or low blow, however you want to look at it, and whatever your feelings still are on the subject. He still put down Usyk, but then, as I guess maybe a letdown from not getting that knockdown / potential stoppage, Usyk then comes back and makes Daniel Dubois quit. That is a mental crutch for Daniel Dubois, to be able to quit on himself during that fight and just say, no, I don't want any more of this, is got to be something that lingers in his mind, or at least did in that moment, and showed us there is a bit of mental weakness, maybe mental fatigue that comes with being one of the best heavyweights, but not quite up to the standard of the best heavyweights, right? You have to question yourself and be able to answer that question in the fire, in the tough moments of a fight to get to that next level, and Daniel Dubois clearly was not ready then. But in back-to-back fights since then, first the Big Baby fight, which we've seen, Big Baby Miller looked great against Andy Ruiz, looked pretty decent against Daniel Dubois. Daniel had to answer that question against tough guys. No, Big Baby Miller's not Usyk, and no, Filip Hrgović is not Usyk, but those are two really tough guys. And honestly, again, for Hrgović at least, he was putting it on Dubois early, and even toward the middle of the fight, where Dubois was becoming more successful and he was still landing things on Hrgović, he was still able to come back and hurt Dubois at times in that fight. But the point I'm making is those were not easy fights for Daniel Dubois, and you could say, okay, well, if those aren't easy fights, then Anthony Joshua sure as hell is not going to be an easy fight, and I honestly will agree with you, but it still took Daniel Dubois digging inside to find whatever it was that lights a fire in his ass to make him commit to staying in those fights, to being better than he was in the Usyk fight, and to reestablishing mentally and physically that he can make it to the top. And like I said, it's not necessarily a great thing that Filip Hrgović was firing on Daniel Dubois early, hitting him with jabs, right hands, hitting him with big time power, but Dubois took those shots and kept moving forward. He was able to keep himself offensive in that fight, and as the fight went on, he just broke Hrgović. I mean, straight up just broke him down, continued to wail on him with shots until eventually it was waved off. That Daniel Dubois is a dangerous dude, because the damage in his hands is absolutely significant. It's been a while since AJ has been threatened with that kind of damage in someone's hands. Yes, Usyk can punch, but he is not the power puncher that Daniel Dubois is, and that's a big deal. While AJ has returned to the monster form, right, the destroyer AJ, he hasn't done so against, well, let's just call it the highest level of boxing. And yes, I'll be the first guy to say that I did think Francis Ngannou was going to perform better than he did. In fact, I picked him on a whim to beat AJ just because he had just beaten Tyson Fury. I don't care what those judges said. Francis beat Tyson. So I was wrong about that one. I'll hold that one till I die. But when you look back on how dominant AJ was in that fight and how there was really no competition out of Francis and how relatively easy it was for him to be dominant. I mean, it was basic rudimentary boxing, jab to the body, feint, jab to the body, right hand. My goodness, Francis is in Neverland, not the Michael Jackson one. And obviously with Helenius, that was another showcase for AJ to just regain confidence. Because like I said, you know, we're talking about the mental side of this for Dubois. Alexander Usyk has broken mentally 2 great heavyweights from the UK back-to-back, essentially. Did it to Dubois, but he really did it to Anthony Joshua. Usyk did AJ so bad that for some reason AJ started running around with the Ukrainian flag after Usyk beat him, and then he stole the mic from Usyk to cut a promo again after Usyk had won. He's like, yeah, it's a tough game we're in. Appreciate y'all. Like, Usyk's not standing over here like, can I get my interview? I'm the winner. Bring my flag back over here. Since that point, AJ has had to rebuild some confidence, and it seems like he's rebuilt it, right? Watching the Helenius performance, watching the Francis Ngannou performance, obviously. And even though the Jermaine Franklin Jr. fight was not peak AJ, you were just seeing him rebuild. And now we have what we think is a return to glory here for AJ. And while I said Daniel Dubois' power is a major factor for his success, he cannot fight the same way, at least in my opinion, that he did against Filip Hrgović and win this fight. Standing in front of AJ and trying to capitalize when AJ is also a big puncher, and AJ's hands, I would say, are a bit faster than Daniel Dubois are. And also, I think he will have a bit of a range advantage here. I just don't know if you want to get into a trading match and for either guy, see who's the more tough, who's going to be able to land the shot that puts the other one out. I don't think that's the best school of thought for either guy. I think for Dubois, it does need to be a more measured attack because AJ is better than Hrgović and is more dangerous, in my opinion, than Hrgović. And his hands are a lot faster than Hrgovic's were. For AJ, I do think overconfidence is something that can creep into your mind, especially after you've rebuilt this destroyer kind of mantra and you're on this path back to redemption, and maybe, you know, a little bit of overzealousness here could land you in a big time problem situation, because let's say AJ gets a little too comfortable being flat-footed standing in front of Daniel Dubois. The counter punches that Dubois was landing on Hrgović were the reason he was able to really start breaking Hrgović up. It was to the body, then upstairs. Because while AJ in the Usyk fights was a bit more hesitant and a bit more tentative, you've seen him since then start to lock in on, you know, being the bigger guy, destroyer. I'm going to throw my hands, I'm going to work my jab, but I'm also going to be here for those follow-up combinations. I want to see, if I'm AJ, a bit of a combination of both of those things, right? The measured approach that you would take with an Usyk, even though maybe it wasn't the right approach for Usyk, it could be here. But I also want to see that spite in the punches. I want to see AJ let loose here. I do not want to see AJ standing very conservative, looking to be more defensive versus Daniel Dubois, because then you only invite that word I keep talking about, which is confidence from the champion, by the way, which I don't know that a lot of people are picking up on this. But Anthony Joshua is being treated like the champion, and I'm sure is the favorite in this fight. Daniel Dubois is the IBF World Heavyweight Champion right now. But coming into this fight, everyone looks at this as almost like Dubois challenging AJ for the right to be the real champion. You know, it doesn't feel like he's the actual champion. And the reason I bring that up is because I wonder if that's the mental dynamic here, maybe for even the fighters in their camp. Like, AJ is the one that has to quell any sort of confidence, because if Daniel Dubois gets an inch, if he gets a moment of success, that confidence builds and builds and builds, and all of a sudden, the guy with the gold, the guy that should be respected as the champ, is looking to upset AJ and put him in a position to look like the guy that shouldn't be in the ring with the younger champion. So if I'm AJ, I take that into account, and I don't, especially early, allow Daniel Dubois to get started quickly. Not that Dubois is a fast starter. I don't think that he is, but I think AJ needs to be. I don't know that this should be a conservative first, second, third round start that we're just pumping the jab out and staying behind it, because yes, AJ can win fights with his jab, and we've seen that many, many times, but I think for both guys, a level of respect has to be earned early. For AJ, I think it does come off the jab, and again, I think he does have the better jab, but utilizing it to be a devastator is what you want to see. That's the thing I want to see AJ get back to, even against power punchers. Because sure, you can do it against Helenius, and again, while Francis is a power puncher, the technical skill to do it and land on AJ, it's like a middle schooler playing LeBron as far as technique was concerned. It wasn't even close, but this will be one where you got to be on your P's and Q's. Dubois is ready to trigger that counter right hand, that left hook as well. So AJ has to, like I said, in my opinion, bring the best of both worlds to this. The jab-heavy approach that he used early against Andy Ruiz in the second time, or some of the stuff he implemented, you know, in the middle part of the second Usyk fight where he was boxing, moving his feet, but also looking to land the right hands to the body, then upstairs. And then he does need to bring that dominance of the ring back, that ability to get nasty when he needs to. The Klitschko fights, again, the Helenius fight, the Dillian White fight, that type of nasty. I want to see that from AJ. And from Dubois, you're going to have to hurt AJ early here, or again, gain some level of respect to put him back in that doghouse where he just kind of recluses and gets behind his jab and gets very conservative and doesn't let his hands go. Because then Daniel Dubois has a chance to push forward, push pace like he did to Hrgovic a bit, while not being necessarily as reckless, and find himself racking up round after round while starting to steamroll the more stagnant AJ. So yeah, could I see Daniel Dubois winning this fight? Sure. I could see him hurting AJ early, and that may be the thing turning the tide from this fight. Or I could see this being more of a long, drawn-out, kind of a messier fight where he may hurt AJ early, but that big shot doesn't equate to a stoppage, so he has to steamroll and move forward and compound on that with AJ kind of resorting back to default mode. But realistically, what I think, and my final prediction for this fight, I think AJ is going to stop Daniel Dubois. I do. I think so. I know the Wade curse is real here, so I'm picking AJ. Y'all should probably put all your money on Dubois by stoppage, but that's what I think, because realistically, I do think that Dubois gets hit just a little too much, and he may be just a little too game in certain moments where he tries to walk forward through punches instead of avoiding those punches, and AJ's able to land one that rocks Dubois, potentially hurts him. And I do like AJ's jab here. I really do. If he's able to, again, establish it early and have Dubois a little frustrated by it, and again, Dubois will keep trying to walk through it, and AJ should work the body early on and slow down Dubois, and then I think the stoppage comes late. I'm going to say round 8 or 9, Anthony Joshua by stoppage, and it'll probably be one of those where the referee kind of waves it off, or, you know, maybe multiple drops of the fight. I don't know if he knocks him out cold, but I think it's one of those moments where AJ once again shows the 27-year-old he's not quite finished at the top yet. And that's what I think. You guys let me know, man. I know the Wade curse has put me back for like 7 months, so if I'm wrong about this one, I'm filling up somebody's wallet here, bro. Make sure you guys, if you're gonna pick, the Wade curse has been pretty damn accurate. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. By the way, code Wade at DraftKings. But you guys let me know what you think down below. Who wins this fight and why, and what happens next for each winner if they do, because I don't have any of those answers. In fact, I've been wrong a lot lately, so hopefully this breaks the Wade curse. But this Saturday, Wembley, Riyadh season. By the way, go watch my boy True Jordy. He's going to be live doing his watch party from the venue, which is awesome. I hope you guys enjoy the fights. But like I said, what happens in the matchup? Daniel Dubois, Anthony Joshua, who wins? Guess we'll find out.